Welcome to the red jungle full of automation technology and Westphalians. It's Hannover Messe 2025. We are in Hall 9, booth F06. And Roland, we have brought a lot of things, right?
Yes, Hannover Messe is this exhibit in the year with a lot of new technologies, new solutions, new possibilities. And I'm really happy and proud that you join us for this live stream a little early as usual at 9:30 this morning to explore the latest and greatest innovations from Beckhoff.
And there is a lot to explore.
Right.
5 days of exhibition, 250 Beckhoff colleagues, more than 1,000 square meters. Everything is going on here, right?
Yes. And if you can't make it, as you are probably at home right now, just chat with us. Use the chat window if you want to, and you can type in questions and remarks right away. You can send a message to meet at Beckhoff, or you can just arrange a meeting with your local sales guy, whatever you prefer. But it's time to start. I think you have to rush around the corner because Hans is waiting, right?
Because Hans is waiting. That is exactly correct. Good morning, Hans.
Morning, Felix.
Good morning. I know that when designing an exhibition booth, you are always carefully making sure that we have wide angles, that everything is nicely
Everything
arranged.
has to be seen, yeah.
Yeah. Today it looks a little bit different. Yeah, we even can see some people from the police behind us. What's going on here?
Yeah, we are waiting some famous people. So, you know, it's the Canadian, the Canada is our partner country this year on the Hannover show. And therefore we implemented a stage here, and at 10:40 Celine Dion will come.
Wow, all the way from Las Vegas, right?
From Las Vegas, yeah. And the beginning song will be My Heart Goes On.
Yeah, and then we will perform some Titanic stunts. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. In fact, we have Stefan Dion on the booth, which is the Canadian ambassador. And he's visiting us, and with him is our Chancellor Scholz and the Canadian Minister of Commerce, Mr. Champagne.
Okay.
And so unfortunately it's not Celine Dion.
Yeah.
Some politicians are coming. And
next time. But it's a big honor for us, so the politicians are visiting us. And best of luck to you for that already. But now let's have a look at Beckhoff Automation. How was the last year for the company?
Well, you know, we had wonderful, perfect years 1 year earlier and 3 years before, and we grew by more than 80%, so we almost doubled our turnover. And this was a little bit overdone. So last year we saw the correction, like it's typical in capitalism society, so that every 5 to 7 years you have a correction cycle. And this was something which we experienced last year. We awaited this also. But it's quite drastic, so it's about 33% less. The year before we achieved 1.7 billion, and now we are at 1.17. But the start of the new year, so now in 2025, is promising. So numbers are coming back as we expected, and so we think we may report some growth by the end of this year.
I'm with Beckhoff since 2013, so already 12 years. And from these 12 years, I only know one direction, which was upwards. Does this decline worry you at all?
It should worry, and so for sure we have to optimize the company in these times, and we have to optimize our products for better offerings. And we have for sure also to look for new customers, because our experience is in each crisis you can win customers, because also they have to look for new suppliers with more interesting technology, and this is what Beckhoff stands for. And by the way, it's now my 6th crisis in 44 years of country history. So crises are coming and crises are going, and you have to be prepared for it. And our company always has this in mind because of our experience, and so we are prepared for it and going very easily through a crisis and coming back stronger.
It's a very good, optimistic look forward into the future. On a general base, what do you think are the important factors? What are the drivers to get out of a crisis as a society, maybe, or as a general economy?
Yeah, in general, so a positive mood has to be created so that everybody is believing in the future. And then if all people start activities, then business will also start to grow. Huh? And normally, to my experience over all these 44 years, you can expect that this is done by everybody because everybody wants to have a good life, wants to earn money, wants to survive, and therefore everybody is thinking about new ideas and activities. And we as a company, we are doing the same. So on this show, we are showing our new control panel series, for instance, which is a beautiful design, so top, and which also reduces the cost of our control panels. And so our customers have a new possibility to select exactly these new, better control panels and also lower cost control panels. And this is true for almost any product range we have.
Let's
And
dig
for
into
sure,
that.
innovation. So Beckhoff is known for innovation, and our MX system or the PLC++ compile software, these are really landmarks in terms of idea or performance. And this is what we are providing to our customers, and this is what brings our customers in a better position, also us.
Yeah. So they can be sure that with our technology, they are one step ahead of their customers.
Yeah, this is very true. So if customers are working together with Beckhoff, they can rely on us that we are always presenting them the newest technology. On this show, to mention another product, the Co-Agent, which is an artificial intelligence product, which is supporting the engineering work of the programmer, and which is a real fascinating product because in the best case it can already write programs itself, but what is sure, we can support programmers to work more effective. And this is a big point. So also, if you're visiting the show or look on our website, look at the Co-Agent. It's interesting.
Yeah, I think it will be, maybe it will make me able to write big PLC programs, so I can only make a hello world so far.
Yeah, you can write down your wishes. Please, build a machine. No, we are not building a machine, but please write a program for this kind of machine with this functionality, and then it will create something. Yeah.
So everybody will be able to program a machine with that, or more or less everybody will be
This
able.
would be one of the results. So the experienced engineer will become much more effective, and on a smaller scale, even a non-specialist may provide a description, and then our agent will try to make a program out of it.
Okay, a fantastic enhancement for the brain. Many other hardware products to be enjoyed here. MX system, you just mentioned it. But now we are living in a big world, and many of our customers might be curious about this. And if you're going through the news right now, a lot of discussions about additional trade barriers are going on, and so far. Do you think this will make it harder for our customers around the world to get actually our automation products from East Westphalia?
Yeah, it's a big distortion of the international relations, what's going on. And so it's also a little bit of distortion without any systematic, at least it's not easy to recognize. And Beckhoff, we are quite an international company. 30% of our sales are done in Germany direct, and the other 70% are done in Europe or Asia or America. And so we are relying on the international markets. Our customers are international. And so the discussion or the introduction of additional tariffs is not good for us. It's really not good for our customers, for the machine builders, because they serve the automotive industry, and this is, if they're coming into a disruption, then they will not invest, and so also our machine builders will feel it. And but I hope that there is some reasonability still in some minds, and that in the end it will not turn out as ugly as it looks in the moment.
Okay.
And for ourselves, so automation products, there we see in the moment no announcements that our products will be put to additional tariffs, but you never know.
Okay, but I understand that you are optimistic and that you have a big plaidoyer for free trade.
Yeah.
And I think that's a perfect message for our visitors, which will be here in about an hour plus minus.
Yeah.
Good luck for the visit. Thank you so much for finding the time, and have a great show, Hans.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye. And now I will hand over to Roland, who is with Angela, and there we will have a look at drive technology, which gets you one step ahead.
Well, as Hans said, we are known for innovation. And he also said we have to optimize our products. And let's put these two things together, innovation and optimization. And Angela, good morning. This is, I think, exact the credo for the new product here, innovation and optimization, because you brought the new AF1000 series, a very small drive, so small that I can't believe that he can do anything. Or what are the functional features of this little drive?
Yes, you're right. The AX1000 is really small, but despite its compact size, the AX1000 is of course a fully functional servo drive that is in no way inferior to our existing servo drive families in terms of performance. It is an EtherCAT device. It supports our one cable technology as feedback system. Safety is already on board.
Okay.
An internal braking resistor is already included. And last but not least, also a 20-volt power supply for the control voltage is integrated.
Wow, there's a lot inside this small drive, amazing. Now, optimization means that we have drive experience for a long period of time. So with the AX5000 here, this was the beginner, to say it this way. This is like, I think, 20 years already in the
Right,
market.
yeah.
And then you presented already AX8000 years back. Now it's the 1000. So is something obsolete in the future, or is this now a complete package, basically?
Yeah, that is a good question. The AX1000 is an addition to our existing portfolio. So it will not,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not replacing anything?
Right, yeah, thank you. It does not replace the AX5000 or the AX8000. And the AX1000 is now our introduction of a cost-efficient servo drive family for very price-sensitive application. The AX8000 is our modular multi-axis servo system, which can be expanded regarding the number of axes in the machine. And the AX5000 is our multi-talent, which support many different motor types and feedback systems.
So basically, we listen to our market for
Yeah.
the last 20 years and use our experience and modern technologies to
Yeah.
come up with a very cost-optimized drive. Now, I think you're so amazed about the new product that you even brought two. But if you take a look in detail, one is called AF1 and the other one is AX1. So what is the difference between these two products?
Right. So the AX1000 is our servo drive, and the AF1000 is our variable frequency drive. And both together are our economy drive system, and they are in the same form factor. And the variable frequency drive is very interesting for us because this is the first time that Beckhoff offers a variable frequency drive in IP20. And with this product, we are closing a gap in our portfolio.
But you told me up front, we're not just closing the gap and have a Me Too product. There's also a very special function or, let's say, option available. So what is so special with the AF1000?
Right. I could repeat all the features of the AX1000, but the really main advantage of the AF1000 is the dual-axis version. This is very widespread in the area of servo drives, but it is a really market innovation for the variable frequency drives. And it means that you can connect two motors on one device, so you reduce the space in the control cabinet and the material costs dramatically.
Wow, so it's actually savings by two.
Right.
All right. Thanks for the insight, and you know, it is really a great possibility with these two drives. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, Hans talked about Celine Dion and the heart goes on. I would like to talk reel to reel. I like to move it, and I like to move it together with my dear colleague Rob.
Yes, we move it.
Good morning, Rob. Let's rock it and move it. Rob, we're here in front of our XTS, our Intelligent Transportation System. Quite around for a while. Let's give me a few key features and benefits of this system at all.
So what it allows us to do is it allows us to integrate an entire line, so multiple machines together. And we can save space. So we always have one process that takes longer than the rest of them. So that way I can send 2 movers or 3 movers to that longer process. It can take the time it needs. But then other stations might be quicker. They might need only a few hundred milliseconds, so we can go through those stations one at a time. That means instead of making 3 or 4 of everything, I can shrink the whole machine down, but it's also flexible. So in the future, if I change my machine, I can simply adjust the programming, and now my movers will stop in different locations for different functions.
This has gained a lot of attraction in the market, and we brought an application from L'Oreal. So what is L'Oreal doing with the XTS?
So L'Oreal is doing exactly that. They have different stations that have different speeds and different functions. So they will make new products, and then they need to retool, but they can leave the XTS in the system and just change the programming. So, and then at the same time, they never lose the product. So the product goes on a mover, and we track it through the entire process. We know exactly what's happened to it the whole way through.
Okay, now tracking is one thing, the track itself is another one, because you brought a new track. So I see here, this is like the standard track. Now you have a longer one. So it is quite as big, quite as challenging, quite as expensive, or what is the challenge here?
So the challenge here is that we want to reduce the price.
Okay.
Right? There's a lot of, if you look in the L'Oreal application, there's a lot of places where they're not using the high accuracy. They don't need it. So what we can do, particularly on the return way, we can put in a lower cost eco module. Okay. So it's not as accurate, it's still quite accurate, 70 micrometers, but it's a much lower cost. So now it's more cost effective, or even more cost effective, to implement an XTS system. If I don't need the accuracy, I put in the lower cost module. If I do need the accuracy, then I put in our normal module.
That means for customer like L'Oreal, for the next machine, on the way back, on the back pass, for example, just replace 2 of those with 1 of this and save 45% of money.
Exactly.
Okay. But that also means they have to rewrite probably the application and the software.
It's just a software update. So as soon as they have the software installed for this, their existing application can run directly on the new motor module. As the user, as the programmer, you don't know any difference. You have no idea whether it's driving on an eco module or if it's driving on a normal module. You don't need to know, and it just runs. You can mix and match and go eco, normal. That's
it.
Perfectly fine.
These are great news, Rob. Thanks a lot for that. Now, optimized drives, optimized XTS. Is there anything you can optimize in software, Felix?
Well, there's always something to optimize. But first and foremost, you know that our PC portfolio, our controller portfolio is all about scalability. Small applications, CX 7000, 400 megahertz, a small device. Big applications, big PC, think 12 times, more than 2 gigahertz. And you can optimize by selecting the right size of the CPU for your application. So there is a lot of economic design built into our embedded PC and also in our IPC portfolio. But the only thing what is cheaper, what costs less money than using a smaller controller is not using a controller at all. Daniel, let's have a look at virtualization. What's behind that?
Yes, so basically virtualization follows the concept of abstracting hardware through software, basically with the main idea to reuse the existing hardware resources more efficiently. And with our TwinCAT runtime for Linux, for example, we have a similar concept. So with TwinCAT for Linux, you can also use containers, which is also kind of virtualization, to host multiple TwinCAT runtimes on one IPC. So you can basically use the existing resources more efficiently. And now this year, the next step would be to move those containers into existing resources, computing resources on your on-premise data centers or even in the cloud.
Okay, let me think. So if I have a big machine, 20 different stations, different things are happening every now and there, and maybe I decide for the reason of modularization I want to have a controller, an individual CX for every station. Now you are telling me I can have the same scalability, the same modularity, but now I don't have controllers which cost me money. I just have everything centralized on one device, but still they are separate?
Well, it depends a little bit on your task. So not every automation task can really, let's say, deployed in an on-premise data center on the cloud, mainly because of their limitations to real-time
Okay.
and deterministic requirements. So the customers really have to make up their minds about which tasks should be moved directly on the IPC next to the physical machine, or maybe there are also some more less real-time requirement tasks that can be moved to the cloud or to the data center. And in these environments, they can then use their existing IT technologies, know-how, but also workflows to manage control tasks in that environment. So everything, or let's say these tasks can be managed a little bit more flexible. Maybe this is more cost efficient because you can reuse existing hardware, but in the end, you always have to make up your mind where you need to run the task, depending. Yeah.
But a nice technology to maybe make maintenance a little bit easier, to harvest the resources which you already have, and to have a very, very lean system architecture also.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Daniel.
Welcome.
Now I would like to dig with Martin into another topic. Usually, when you are joining us, then it's about safety technology. And safety, in my mind, is first and foremost a yellow terminal. Is there anything to virtualize about safety technology?
Well, from the input and output point of view, you will always have yellow terminals because we have error detection in the terminals. But from the controller point of view, you are absolutely correct. You can also virtualize the safety controller in standard IPC hardware, for example. So you don't need to use a dedicated safety controller in the yellow terminal. You can use the high-performance IPC for the safety logic, for example.
Okay, I sense a small advantage, but what are actually the benefits of not doing it in the terminal but using the IPC?
Well, the first benefit I already mentioned is the performance, because in the yellow terminal we have small processors doing in heterogeneous redundancy the same logic.
Yeah.
But within the IPC we have an Intel Core i8, for example, doing the safety logic. So it's quite fast in comparison to the safety controller. And we have more space on the IPC, so you can build very large safety projects on it.
Bigger safety projects, faster executed, correct?
Yes, but you always have the choice. What do you want? Do you want a centralized, very large safety project, or you want a distributed safety project? Because from the other side, from the validation and verification point of view, it's also suitable to do it in a separate terminal.
Okay, so both is possible, decentral and central solutions, just like with the virtualization.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Martin.
No problem.
And with this, I'm handing over for the final interview guest of this show, which is Lauritz, to talk about module type package. Thank you, Daniel and Martin.
It's always good to have a choice. That's what Martin just said. And I think this is also valid for our last topic of today, to have a choice. Good morning, Lauritz.
Good morning.
Now, you stand here out of the field of our explosion-proof and process automation topics. And we talked about the modular type package, a standardization already a year ago. And you told me that there is a transition from standard 1.0 to 2.0. Now let's dig into details. So what is the actual status with the new standard 2.0?
Yes, so last year the PI organization finished the member review of the draft of the MTP 2.0 specification, and since then there have been a lot of interesting change requests that came from the PI members and basically commented that draft. And in the last month, the working group, we really put a lot of effort, time and work into processing these comments to better the specification. And we aim that at the end of April, we can finish the drafts of all specification parts and then give it to the organizations that stand behind this specification. So that is the PI organization, the NAMUR and the ZVEI. And these then take probably 1 or 2 more months for their internal reviews of that draft. Until then, the final release can be published.
Okay, now this period was necessary because there are a lot of innovations and updates integrated into the latest version. So what are the key features and functions which were added now?
Yes, that is true. So one very important point about the MTP 2.0 specification is that it's the first consistent release of all specification parts. So really from sheet 1 to part 6. Everything is included on the same version. That was a little bit different with the version 1.0. And then also a lot of, like, let's say, interpretation gaps were being closed that existed in the past in MTP 1.0. So with that experience that we gained in past projects, were really all put into that new specification, besides, of course, new features as well. And the last thing also is that the complete document was restructured to also make it easier for international standardization. So basically to convert it into an IEC norm and therefore also have broader acceptance worldwide.
Okay. Now, standardized communication should actually allow the customers and the users to simply connect things together easily. That means in our world, it has to be also integrated into TwinCAT. So TwinCAT 1, or the modular tab package 1, was integrated by customers, and this is up and running. And we can see this also in an application. But what about the latest standard 2 and TwinCAT now?
Yes, so with TwinCAT MTP, we already had a very comfortable solution for our customers to basically program an MTP compliant module. We use enhanced code generation mechanisms for that, for the PLC, but also for the HMI. And the latest news is that we now also have a version, a public beta ready for MTP 2.0, which is running under TwinCAT 4026 and can be delivered via our testing feed. In short time, we will also have a workload in the package manager, which makes it even easier to install that version for our customers. And this new version then is really bleeding edge in terms of what the specification offers. So we really parallelized that implementation part and the specification work to have all the new functionalities, like the part 6 is focusing on alarms, which is very important to synchronize alarms between the module and the higher level orchestration layer. And of course, all the other features will already come with that version.
So you work in the standardization group to help to finish the standard. You are in our process automation team to support our customers. And you also influence the TwinCAT team to get it already in the almost stable feed.
That is true. So as soon as the specification is released, then probably at the beginning of summer, we will also release our product for that.
Perfect. Good insights. Thank you, Lauritz.
Thank you.
I think now it's time to close today's broadcast from our Hannover Show 2025. And I would like to tell you what's going on tomorrow, because tomorrow we will talk in a special about power measurement. So it's all about power measurement. But before we start Tuesday's special, actually 10 a.m. tomorrow, don't get mixed up, it's 10 tomorrow. I think it's time now to lift again the curtain of the secret behind the seal, because Hans already announced this. The German Chancellor is coming, the Canadian Finance Minister is coming. So when will we start now here with the next show?
At 10:30 we are going live again. We will make a short introduction, announce the people who are coming to our booth, and then you can enjoy the visit from German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and the Minister of Finance, François-Philippe Champagne, here on our booth. It will be maybe a half an hour event. It will be very, very interesting. And we have actually made a big survey.
Yeah.
We asked our colleagues, we asked our viewers, who would you like to have on stage with Roland and myself? And there was only one answer. It was Rob Rawlick, who is our Westphalian Canadian, you could say, and he will join us as well. We will discuss Canada, we will discuss Canadian industry, and maybe one or the other cliche about Canadians and Germans.
And it's a big spectacle for us. We are very honored that the Bundeskanzler, the Chancellor Olaf Scholz, although he's on his last day of duty, is still coming, because he is still our Chancellor, so we are proud about this. And you can get some insights also about the effort, what it takes if a Chancellor and some other politics and delegations show by. So 10:30 on the same channel, like you watch us right now. Just come back, and then tomorrow, of course, anyhow. Thank you. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.